Scrutiny this afternoon, the Pennsylvania Republican Curt Weldon. Federal agents searched 6 locations as part of an unfolding investigation that Weldon says is politically motivated. Our congressional correspondent Dana Bash is joining us from Capitol Hill with the latest. Dana?
Well, Wolf, we actually heard from the congressman himself just a few moments ago. He was speaking to reporters in his home district just outside of Philadelphia. This all surrounds an investigation that sources familiar with this investigation confirmed to us is underway by the Justice Department, essentially looking into whether or not Congressman Curt Weldon helped secure some lucrative contracts for his daughter, who is a lobbyist. Now, the congressman had up till this point essentially said that he knew nothing about this federal probe, and even today, even after his daughter's home apparently was raided, as in addition to 5 other spots through this probe, he came out and talked to reporters and still said he personally doesn't have any indication about this investigation, but insisted he didn't do anything wrong.
I would absolutely never use my position to help anyone in an unusual way, and my daughter would be. My kids don't need my help. My kids are successful. They're talented. They do a good job, and that's always. I mean, that's what any father would say, and that's what I would say. You know, my daughter doesn't need my help now. She never has.
Now, you saw Congressman Weldon in that press conference rather calm in his demeanor, but still making the case, as his aides and even his attorney has to us over the past couple of days, that they do think that this was politically motivated in part. Congressman Weldon talking about the fact that a liberal-leaning watchdog group with the acronym CREW, that at the head of that, a woman by the name of Melanie Sloan, that she is somebody, and some of her members on the board are people who are supporters of his Democratic opponent. Curt Weldon is in, and already has been in, a very, very tight re-election campaign. He's been a Republican in Congress for 20 years and has never had a race like this. So he is indicating that that group is trying to target him, and also noted that the Democratic Campaign Committee actually released a flyer, sent a flyer in the mail on Wednesday, 2 days before this federal probe became public, talking about this investigation. The reason is, well, this has been out there, this question has been out there for 2.5 years. The Los Angeles Times first wrote a lengthy story about whether or not the congressman did try to help his daughter, who is a lobbyist, and the congressman said today that he went to the House Ethics Committee with hundreds of pages of documents to prove that he did nothing wrong. He, in this press conference today, insists that he will do the same thing with the Justice Department. He did, however, Wolf, admit that this is going to hurt him in his campaign, which, as I mentioned, was already an uphill climb for somebody who hasn't had a tough race, really, in about 20 years.
But Dana, you can say that the liberal news media might be out with political motivations, or this organization, even though they say they alerted the Justice Department about it 2.5 years ago. But this is a Justice Department that's run by the Republicans. They're in charge of the Justice Department. The Attorney General, Alberto Gonzales, is the Attorney General of the Justice Department, the Deputy Attorney General. They decided to raid the daughter's home and offices and associates 3 weeks before an election. This wasn't a decision made by the media or by some other watchdog group. This was a decision made by the Republican-led Justice Department.
That's exactly right, and a reporter on the scene there in Pennsylvania brought that up with Curt Weldon, and he said, I think his quote was something along the lines of, yeah, I know, I'm not stupid, I understand that. And obviously we know from our sources that he and others can make the allegation that this could be politically motivated. At least the initial inquiry, or at least request for a probe, could have been potentially politically motivated. But when it comes down to it, law enforcement sources make it very clear that when they decide to go forward in an investigation, it's based on not politics, but based on potential evidence that they think that they might have to go forward in the investigation.
And the sources of the Justice Department say they did it today because they were afraid some of that evidence could be tampered with unless they moved very quickly. Dana, thank you very much for updating our viewers on that.